What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I'm going to be answering the question, are there overpowered guns in Infinite Warfare? This is something that always pops up every now and then, and I wanted to share my thoughts on it today. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so let's start off with the term overpowered, and I'm going to be focusing more on the definition of how overpowered is generally used within the community. Now, one could argue the simplest term, overpowered, means the gun is too powerful, and the degree of that isn't really clear, but generally when someone is calling something overpowered in the community, they're using it to describe a gun that they feel is significantly better than the rest and needs an immediate nerf. It's not usually just somebody saying, oh, this gun is good, so I'm going to call it overpowered. It's, this gun is way too good, this is ruining my experience because this gun is so significantly better than the rest. And with Infinite Warfare, I've seen this term thrown around quite a bit, but really when you think about it, I would say no more than in previous Call of Duty games. Every single year, you always have the overpowered guns complaints. But with Infinite Warfare, I've actually seen a lot of people that refuse to play the game because X gun is overpowered. Now, the gun that's being complained about, the funny thing is, I've seen that gun be several different things. It's not just that one gun every single time. Now, I know the NV4, and we're going to be talking about this one specifically. The NV4 is one of the ones that's complained about the most and has been since launch. But I've also seen plenty of overpowered complaints with the K-Bar, with the Type 2 since it got that buff several months ago, with the Xeon, with the ERAD, with the RPR Evo, with the Trencher, with the VPR, with the Raw, with the Auger. As you can see, the list goes on. And this to me is the first sign that there are no overpowered guns in Infinite Warfare. If you have that much confusion and that many people calling different guns overpowered, that to me sounds more like balance than anything. So let's take a look at the gun that is definitely complained about the most. This is the NV4. I've seen so many people complaining about the NV4 and how overpowered it is and how you just can't touch it, you can't beat it with anything else, and that it needs a significant nerf to be in line with the other guns. I've even heard several people that say that they refuse to play the game until the NV4 is nerfed because it's just that bad to them. And I don't find this claim to be valid at all when you look at the gun in comparison to others. If we look at the time to kill values of the NV4 compared to the other assault rifles in the game, up close, since the Type 2 got the buff a couple months ago like I mentioned earlier, the NV4 has the slowest time to kill at closer ranges within the assault rifle category. In the mid ranges, it starts to beat out a couple of the other assault rifles, but it's still nowhere near the best in class. And at longer ranges, it's still among one of the slower killing assault rifles. So statistically, the NV4 is beat out by pretty much every other assault rifle when we're just talking about time to kill. Now, the simple reason that we see so many overpowered complaints about the NV4, as well as the simple reason that we see the NV4 used a decent amount, is it's an easy gun to use and handle, and it's consistent. It's always going to be that 4 to 5 shot kill, it's got very good accuracy properties, and therefore anyone can pick it up and master it fairly easily. There's not really much needed in the way of recoil control, and it's just that decent all-around sort of gun. It doesn't really dominate in any areas, it's just good all around. It's okay up close, it's good at mid-range, and it's good at long range as well. It's not great anywhere. It doesn't dominate anywhere. And let's compare it to a gun that I would actually call overpowered. This was the VPR when it was in its overpowered state. Initially, when the VPR launched, it wasn't very good. Then they gave it a massive buff. Since then, of course, they've nerfed it again, and it's back where it should be, in my opinion. But we're talking about that short period of time where the VPR was completely overpowered. I don't think anybody could argue against that gun being overpowered in that state. It had one of the fastest times to kill in the game at every single range. It was a consistent 3-shot kill with an extremely high fire rate. It had very little recoil. It had a very large magazine capacity. And it had SMG mobility stats, which are best in the game. That gun had practically zero downside to using it. And there was almost no situations where any other gun had an advantage over that VPR. That is an overpowered gun. That is something that can't reliably be countered without using the same gun. The NV4, on the other hand, is actually quite easy to counter with either good recoil control or just using a more niche weapon that is designed to dominate within a specific area. So an example of that would be use an SMG and get up close. You're going to easily beat NV4 users all day. Or just use any one of the other assault rifles and learn to control the recoil effectively, and as long as you're able to hit your shots against that NV4 user, your time to kill is going to be faster, and therefore you're going to be killing that NV4 user. But this leads me to the next point with Overpowered that I feel a lot of people that call overpowered ignore, and this is the skill level of other players. A lot of us develop that Call of Duty ego where we are the best player in the lobby and there's no way that the other guy just outplayed us and was better than us in that situation. It must have been the gun that he was using. That has to be it. The only gun that ever kills me is this gun, and therefore this gun is overpowered. A lot of people fail to consider that good players tend to gravitate towards certain guns, like the really consistent and versatile guns like the NV4 for instance. Also factor in the NV4 Fallout earlier in the game. That was definitely the best choice for going on nuke streaks just because we didn't have a ton of nuke variants out there, and also, like I said, it's versatile, it's consistent, and that's what you want in a nuke class. You want to be able to handle a wide range of situations. So the better players had a tendency to gravitate towards that gun. This means a lot of times when you're getting killed, yeah, you're getting killed by an NV4, and yeah, it's happening consistently, but you're not factoring in the skill level of the other player. That player didn't kill you because his gun is significantly better than your gun. Consider the fact that he may have just beat you because he's a more skilled player, or he just handled that particular situation better than you did. I see a lot of people using the term overpowered simply as a cop-out to preserve their ego. They don't want to admit that they got outplayed, so they resort to blaming it on an element of the game. This is why I'm really glad that Infinity Ward tends to stick to their guns when it comes to weapon balancing. They go based off of their global statistics. I've talked to the developers about this. They go based off of their global statistics that they have on the weapons, and they have some pretty advanced statistics on all of these guns. They don't just make weapon balancing changes based on the whim of the community. If a gun is actually overperforming on a global scale, then they will make adjustments to bring it back down to the level of the other guns in the game. If not, then they leave it be. And guess what? They've left the NV4 because it's not significantly overperforming. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's video. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you think of the term overpowered when it comes to weapons in Infinite Warfare? Do you still feel that there are any guns in the game that are actually overpowered, keeping in mind that we're talking about the definition where that gun needs an immediate nerf and it is the best gun in the game by far and nothing else really competes? I'd like to know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.